Someone is telling me something funny on WhatsApp. Join us, just say hi. I'm leaving a wonderful book here. That is what I'm just doing in this today. It's called How to Raise Your Own Salary. It's a beautiful book. I've been reading it for a while. It's bad manners I should finish. It's an interview between Hill and Carnegie. Napoleon Hill, yes, Napoleon Hill and what is Carnegie's first name? Yeah, Andrew Carnegie. It's a beautiful book, especially for those who want to improve all areas of their lives. Maybe let's say if you want to improve your financial life, if you want to do well in the work environment, if you just want to prosper in your life, this is a very beautiful book to read. Yeah, it's a beautiful one. I'm on a chapter called Going the Extra Mile. Just say hi if you're here. No? I just want us to talk about nothing or anything. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether we should read a chapter here. Let me see the one that I love. Everything here is just so awesome. So maybe we should. Yeah, it's about the 17 principles of success. It says Napoleon Hill tells you the secret of how to win riches, power, prestige. He tells how the average man may learn to use the secrets of America's greatest and richest men. In this book, you will discover the answer to all your problems, whether you are seeking to increase your income or searching only for peace of mind, happiness, harmony in your home or place of occupation. You have here you have here not only the means of making more money, but a philosophy of success through which you may set your own goal in life and achieve it, just as thousands of others have done. Then it says, read the probing questions Dr. Hill asked of Andrew Carnegie, Profit by the philanthropist's frank, illuminating statements how he made his money. This inspiring writer made it his life's work to trace these answers. He found that other men agreed. At last Napoleon Hill knew he had made a sensational discovery, that the application of certain fundamental principles would ensure success to everyone who made use of them. The entire secret of success is written down in How to Raise Your Own Salary. This edition has been revised and modernized, okay? With illuminating pen and purpose, Dr. Hill writes from his intimate knowledge of and association with the world's wealthiest men. He found and gives you the true philosophy upon which all lasting success is built. In the Steel King's own words, Napoleon Hill records his personal interviews with Carnegie, setting down each question and answer. The entire law, consisting of 17 steps, is condensed in this volume and gives a master plan to win success. The theory that the road to wealth is hard and narrow is dead as a doornail. We'll know it for the broad, smooth paved highway. It is for those who apply the 17 principles in the science of success. That promotion will look easy. That top job will not look as so far away. Hi Vasha, how are you? I'm so happy to have you here. If you like thousands of other men and women, um, if if you, like thousands of other men and women, have dreams of retiring someday but find your goal as far away as it was 5, 10, 15 years ago, act now. Start by deciding how much money you need for retirement, for a new house, a car, science education. We take we take you now to the private study of Andrew Carnegie, where Napoleon Hill is taking his first lesson on success. Yeah, so this is the book I'm reading. It's called How to Raise Your Own Salary. It's an amazing read. It's an eye opener. Oh, a city. Hi, my girl. Gosh, I'm seeing some WhatsApp messages here that I'll respond to later. Yeah. So it starts with the principle of developing definiteness of purpose. And Hill asks Mr. Carnegie, I would like to have you go back to the beginning of your career and describe to me step by step the principle of achievement through which you began. Without money, without great influence, and with but little schooling, and lifted yourself into a position of great influence and wealth. Inasmuch as I'm requesting this information on behalf of men and women who have neither the time nor the opportunity to acquire knowledge of the rules of success from those who have been successful. I ask that you forego all formalities and speak to me plainly and frankly in terms that any person with average intelligence may understand. So Kanaji says, very well, I shall describe the rules of personal achievement which have been responsible for my own accomplishment, but I do so on condition that you organize these rules of human relationship into a philosophy that will be available to every person who has the ambition to master and to use it. What I'm asking you to do is one of the okay, Kasiti, I will look for me. I will share it with you, or yeah, if you're able to find it, well and good. But for me, this one it was brought to me from America by my mentor. Yeah, so I don't know whether it's available in the shelves here, but you can check it out. It's an amazing read. It will change your life. Yeah. So what I'm asking you to do is one of the constructive means I have for distribution of my fortune. The money I have accumulated, I will give away in due time through sources that will do the least amount of harm and the greatest possible good. But my real work, that portion of it which I wish to donate for the good of mankind, consists of the principles of personal achievement which I am entrusting to you. In lending you my aid in the organization of the rules of personal achievement, I do so with the understanding that you will carry on a continuous research until you shall have compared my own experiences with the experience of other men who have been recognized as successes in many fields of endeavor, in order that you may give the world a success philosophy of sufficient flexibility that it will serve the needs of all people regardless of their calling or purpose in life, a sound philosophy of individual achievement. Hi there, Judge. Welcome. We are reading this book. It's called How to Raise Your Own Salary, and I'm looking at a principle called Develop the Neatness of Purpose. Yeah, so hope you like it. You know? Your conditions are accepted, Mr. Kanaji, and you may rest assured, sir, that I will never stop until the job has been finished, regardless of the time required. Your faith in my ability to do the job is all the inspiration I need to ensure my carrying on until I finish. Will you begin now and give me an understandable analysis of all the principles of success which you have used in your personal advancement? So it's written in an interview format. You can see like we have you can't see, of course. It's written in an interview format. Thank you so much, Belgians. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so there's no volume. Oh, it's there. Okay. Yeah, so let's see what Kanaji says. Kanaji says that to begin with, let me state that there are 17 major principles of success, and every person who attains the objective of his major goal in any undertaking must use some combination of these principles. We shall name first the most important of these principles. It stands at the head of the list of the 17 principles of achievement because no one has ever been known to succeed without applying it. You may call it the principle of definiteness of purpose. So he says, study any person who is known to be a permanent success. Hi, sweetie. Hi, CEO Mindset. Hi, Belly. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. We are reading this book. It's called How to Raise Your Own Salary. Yeah, it's a very interesting read. It addresses the 17 success principles. Yeah, so we are reading what Carnegie is telling people. Hi, Mary. Welcome to my first live. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so happy to have you here. So we are reading this book. It's called How to Raise Your Own Salary. It was given to me by my mentor. It addresses the 17 principles of success. And right now we are looking at the development of the definiteness of purpose, which is the first principle of success that Carnegie is looking at. So he says that my own major purpose is that of making and marketing skill. I conceived that purpose while working as a laborer. It became an obsession with me. I took it to bed with me at night and I took it to work with me in the morning. My definite purpose became more than a mere wish. It became my burning desire. That is the only sort of definite purpose which seems to bring desired results. Others is to connect definiteness of purpose. Thank you so much, Belly. I need those thumbs up, yeah? Yes, it's tunataka kuwa monetized, so we have our definite purpose and we are working towards that, and I'm very sure before the end of this year we shall be monetized or even sooner. I'm so happy for you, Belly. You achieved this goal. I'm so happy for you, girl. Keep inspiring us. Yeah, so it has quite a lot, you know. Let me look for the principles. Sasa niwasomee ni gani instead of reading this. I cannot read the whole book. Yeah, so number one, kuna hiyo the habit of definiteness of purpose, and promptness of decision is number two. Soundness of character, intentional honesty, strict discipline over one's emotions, obsessional desire to render useful service, full knowledge of one's occupation, tolerance on all subjects, loyalty to one's personal associates, and faith in a supreme being, enduring thirst for knowledge, alertness of imagination. No, those are not the principles. I'm reading my those are qualities. Those are the 10 qualities of personal power, which we call the 10 points rule of personal power. Let me read them again. They're the I got confused. Gosh, they're the 10 qualities of personal power. So the first one is the habit of definiteness of purpose, promptness of decision, soundness of character or intentional honesty, strict discipline over one's emotions, obsessional desire to render useful service, thorough knowledge of one's occupation, tolerance on all subjects, loyalty to one's personal associates, and faith in a supreme being, enduring thirst for knowledge, alertness of imagination. Oh, thank you so much, Belly. That is so nice of you. Oh, thank you so much. It has been a long journey. Getting to 1,000, man, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And I'm so happy that I'm here finally. So now let's push the watchtowers. You know? So we have the principles are the habit of the definiteness of purpose, and then we have the mastermind principle. We have going the extra mile. Develop an attractive personality. then we have use organized individual endeavor. Calculate creative vision. Exercise self-discipline. Learn from defeat. Control your attention. Apply the golden rule. Budget your time and money. Wow. Make health habits. Make health a habit. Benefit from cosmic habit force. Keep the source of all wealth. Umeona cosmic habit force ni gani? Yes. Nimechoka mguu. Yeah, I've seen something interesting here about the cosmic habit force. It's the law of the cosmic habit force, which is the particular application of energy with which nature maintains the existing relationship between the atoms of matter, the stars and planets, the seasons of the year, night and day, sickness and health, life and death, and more important to us right now is the medium through which all habits and all human relationships are maintained, the medium through which thought is translated into physical equivalents. Yeah. So I think we should just look at the quotes which are after every principle. And on the mastermind principle, there's a quote here that reads, "If you wish a job done promptly and well, get a busy man to do it. The idle man knows too many substitutes and shortcuts." Wow. Okay. If you wish a job done promptly and well, get a busy man to do it. The idle man knows too many substitutes and shortcuts. That is not nice. Um, hmm. On develop an attractive personality, we have cooperation and friendship are two assets that can be had only by first giving them. Cooperation and friendship are two assets that can be had only by first giving them. And then on applied faith we have um, applied faith hakuna. So going the extra mile. On going the extra mile, we have make yourself indispensable in your job and see how quickly you are pushed out of it into a better one. It's very true. It's very true. This one has happened to me. And for make yourself indispensable in a job and see how quickly you are pushed out of it into a better one. That's very true. Use organized individual endeavor. Which quote we have here? No man is a free man until he learns to do his own thinking and gains the courage to act on his own personal initiative. Okay. Cultivate creative vision. Do you have a quote? Yes. On cultivate creative vision, we have Edison failed 10,000 times before he perfected the incandescent electric lamp. The average man would have quit after the first failure, which explains why there are so many average men and but one Edison. Gosh, are you an average man? Let's refuse that. Exercise self-discipline. Um, exercise self-discipline. Time is a relentless master. It forces everything and everyone to gravitate to where it belongs by its nature. Organize your thinking. Organize your thinking. The most beneficial of all prayers of those we offer as an expression of gratitude for the blessings we already have. The most beneficial of all prayers are those we offer as an expression of gratitude for the blessings we already have. Quite amazing quote. On learn from defeats, two kinds of people never get ahead. Those who do only that which they are told to do, and those who will not do what they are told to do. Wait a minute. Two kinds of people never get ahead. Those who do only that which they are told to do, and those who will not do what they are told to do. It's true. Seek inspiration, we have a rudderless ship and purposeless man are eventually stranded on a desert sand. Apply the golden rule. Hakuna quote. Cooperate, which is principle 14. Hakuna quote hapo. Budget your time and money. Hapo kuna silence has one major advantage. It gives no one a clue as to what your next move will be. Gosh. Silence has one major advantage. It gives no one a clue as to what your next move will be. That's why we are always told to always move in silence so that we don't give the enemy the chance maybe to sabotage us or to block maybe our blessings. So it's very advantageous to move in silence, yes, and let the results do the speaking. Then we have benefit from cosmic habit force. We have when nature has a message to convey to mankind, she does not release it to those who are indulging in dissipation, nor does she hand it over to those who have been pampered and protected from struggle, but she picks as her torchbearers those who have been seasoned by defeat until they have become self-determining. Wow. When nature has a message to convey to mankind, she does not release it to those who are indulging in dissipation, nor does she hand it over to those who have been pampered and protected from struggle, but she picks as her torchbearers those who have been seasoned by defeat until they have become self-determining. Keep the source of all well. We have the man who says it can't be done is usually busy trying to keep out of the way of the man who is doing it. The man who says it can't be done is usually busy trying to keep out of the way of the man who is doing it. That is the end of our text. There's no what else I should read to you. This live was not really planned. It just happened. So, this is something very, very, very important. Let's start from somewhere. Let's look at the 16th trait of an attractive personality, which Carnegie has termed as emotional control. He says that it has been said by men who have studied the subject that man's emotions control his conduct. The claim seems reasonable. Most of us are directed not so much by our reason as by our emotions. We do things or we refrain from doing them because of the way we feel. Emotion, therefore, may be defined with one word: feeling. Feeling. This is a mighty important word, since it defines the motivating force which controls most of our actions throughout life. We certainly owe it to ourselves to learn as much as possible about the force which lifts us to great achievements or hurls us downwards to defeat. That is precisely what the power of emotions does. In view of this significant fact, we should get control over this power, not only to add to the attractiveness of our personality, but to insure us against a life of failure and misery. And then Hill asks, what do you suggest as the first step towards gaining such control over our emotions? Then Mr. Kanaji replies, the first step is to identify the emotions so we will recognize them, and to aid us in this task, a noted psychologist has prepared a list of the most common emotions expressed in our daily lives. There are 7 positive emotions and 7 negative emotions. So Kanaji starts with the negative emotions, and he says the first negative emotion is fear, of which he says there are 7 different forms of fear, which we shall discuss later. Yeah, jealousy, hatred and envy, revenge and malice, greed, superstition and distrust. And then the last one is anger. And then he also gives us the 7 positive emotions, and they are number 1, love, 2, sex, 3, hope, 4, faith, 5, desire, 6, optimism, 7, loyalty. So he says in these 14 emotions, one may find the letters of the alphabet of a language that spells either success or failure. These 14 words literally represent the keyboard of the musical instrument of life, on which an individual plays the chords of harmony that lead to happiness in its fullest meaning, or the discords of unhappiness that lead to misery and obscurity. Each of the 14 emotions is related to mental attitude. This is why he stresses the importance of mental attitude. These 14 emotions represent nothing except mental attitude. They are nothing but feelings or states of mind. More important still, they are subject to organization, guidance, and complete control by any normal person. He says, here is the keyboard of life on which an individual may compose the tune that his soul will sing all through their life. And then Hill asks him, in what way has the Creator given man control over this grand score for the symphony of life, Mr. Carnegie? And then Carnegie says, by giving man control over his powers of thought, the only thing the individual has to do is to take charge of his own mind and exercise this control. That is something he cannot neglect or avoid without condemning his entire life to the stray winds of chance. He adds, remember before we leave this subject that the point at which an individual begins to take control of his own mind, and this includes emotions, of course, is when he adopts a definite major purpose. You know? And then Il asks, I dare say, Mr. Banerjee, that anyone who secures a copy of this list of the 14 emotions and who carefully examines himself in connection with each of them on the basis of a definite schedule will make tremendous strides towards gaining control of his emotions. Carnegie says, that is correct. A person should construct a chart and make a habit of rating himself on each one of the emotions daily. The experiment will surprise anyone who attempts it. It may also lead to changes in one's personality, which will agreeably surprise all of his associates. This is a positive approach to self-mastery, the end which must be sought and attained by all who wish to be sure of making life pay. Then Hill asks, Mr. Carnegie, you have covered the first 16 of the traits of an attractive personality. What is, what is coming up now? Carnegie says, let us call it alertness of interest in persons, places, and things. Without the ability to fix one's interest at will on any subject or person and hold it there for whatever time the occasion requires, no person will have an attractive personality. You can pay another person no greater compliment, generally speaking, than that of concentrating your attention upon him when he desires your attention. It has been said that it is a greater accomplishment to be able to listen well than it is to be able to talk well. This is one way in which a person may please others and at the same time acquire usable knowledge. The habit of looking in some other direction or fidgeting with some pocket gadget when others are talking is among the worst forms of effrontery. The habit of interrupting when others are speaking is an unpardonable insult. Strong language, perhaps, but accurately descriptive of an important fact. Yeah, I've been teaching my kids the communication skills, and I've been insisting to them about listening being a very important communication skill that they should exercise because it's not really easy. You might think that listening is just so easy until you get to a point where you are in maybe a conversation or a discussion and you keep interfering in what people are saying, and really really annoys people. It's annoying when you're saying something and then somebody just interferes without even excusing themselves or requesting to talk. So, like listening, as Kanaji says here, is very important. Is very it's even more important than speaking well, as he puts it. So yeah, that's a very important and crucial aspect of communication, and which also contributes to building an attractive personality. And then Hill asks, are you implying, Mr. Kanaji, that lack of observation of what is going on around one and failure to notice details is an all too common weakness? Then Kanaji replies, precisely that. It's a common weakness that costs people a tremendous price. If one will make a careful study of oneself when conversing with others, he may discover that he can add substantially to his own personality by taking a keener interest in the other fellow's personality. He says, I have often suggested to some of the young men who worked with us that if they would become as alertly interested in the associates with whom they work and in their jobs as they do when talking to their sweethearts, the results will show a healthy change in their pay envelopes. Alertness of interest in other people not only serves to please them, but it also provides one with an excellent opportunity to know people by observing their mannerisms. One may learn valuable lessons by observing the faults as well as the virtues of other people, as this habit causes one to take more accurate inventory of himself to make sure he does not display the same faults. And then Hill asks, it will seem to me, Mr. Kanaji, that the memory will be associated with this matter of alertness of interest and observation. Am I correct in this assumption, sir? Then Kanaji says, everyone knows that a good memory is an asset of great value, but not everyone seems to know that one of the greatest functions of a good memory is that of taking accurate inventory of and remembering the characteristics of individual personalities. Such retentiveness always requires keen observation and intensity of interest in ordinary conversation with people. Few circumstances annoy a person more than to be introduced to someone a second time without that person showing any sign of recognition. Such situations occur every day. It is no compliment to a man, and especially if he be a man of considerable reputation in his field, to be made to feel that he is so unimpressive and unimportant that someone to whom he had been introduced a second time does not remember him. conversely stated, nothing pleases a man more than to have people show that they remember him favorably. Yeah, I just told this to my student, my pupils, a few weeks ago about remembering people's names, which shows that you really respect them and you have high standards of respect. Yeah. So one of New York's largest hotels employs a deskman who has a system by which he remembers practically every person who registers at the hotel a second time, and he never misses if the person is fairly well known to the public. He calls people by their names and lets them know that he recognizes them. The manager of the hotel told me that this man is one of the greatest assets of the hotel, and what is still more interesting, he receives almost 3 times as much salary as the job he holds usually pays. Wow. Thank you so much, Shiko. Thank you. And welcome. We are reading a book. It's called How to Raise Your Own Salary. Yeah, and I'm reading something on developing an attractive personality. It's part of a man's duty to himself, at least, to see everyone he knows and to recognize his acquaintances in some manner. Every time he comes within speaking distance of them, lack of alertness of interest in other people is usually a sign of egotism. One who falls in love with himself will find few rivals. Hmm? Okay. And then Hill says, everyone readily agrees that an attractive personality is greatly to be desired and sought after. The elements comprising a pleasing personality which you have presented thus far will make a wonderful list by which people may compare their own personalities, counting up their assets and their liabilities, if any. You have previously covered the first 17 desired personality traits. What have you in store for me today? Then Kalaji says, the 18th trait of an attractive personality is effective speech. The person who cannot stand on his feet and speak with force and conviction on any subject within the range of his knowledge is under a great handicap as far as the attraction of people is concerned. The same applies to the man who cannot express himself forcefully in ordinary conversations and in small groups gatherings, such as business conferences. There is a gentle acceptance of the belief that the ability to dramatize words and express them forcefully at all times under all conditions is among the greatest of human achievement. In fact, some people place this power at the head of the list of all personal achievement. Times without number, as we can see by examining the history of mankind, the entire trend of civilization has been influenced by men who could dramatize an idea with the spoken word. We have only to look around us to find men who have risen to great heights of personal achievement because of their ability to sell themselves to other people through dramatized speech. Let it be remembered that in my use of the term speech, I have reference to man's spoken word as a means of influencing others, whether he is speaking to one person or to many. And then he says, it might be helpful, Mr. Kanaji, if you were to mention some of the steps one must take to prepare to give an effective speech. By far the most important factor of effective speech is a thorough knowledge of the subject on which one speaks, Carnegie says. No amount of dramatic technique will ever take the place of the self-assurance a speaker feels when he knows his subject. Someone whose hobby was toughness of speech once said that a whole course of public speaking could be taught in one sentence. Know what you wish to say and say it with all the feelings you can command. And then sit down. The last two words are important. The time to stop speaking is the exact moment at which you have conveyed the thought you wish to get over, and not 1 second beyond that time. Long-winded speakers generally are boresome, but the short speech will be no less so if it does not say something that people wish to hear and say it effectively. And then he asks, several times, Mr. Kanaji, you have used the word dramatize in connection with effective speech. Just how is the ability to dramatize acquired? And then Kanaji says, the ability to dramatize speech comes through habit. Therefore, one should begin this habit by speaking forcefully in ordinary conversations. There is the place where great speakers learn the art of effective speech. They practice on every person with whom they converse. They never utter a word without placing back of it the necessary feeling to make it penetrate and affect the mind of the listener. This simple procedure will make an effective speaker of anyone who follows it as a matter of daily habit and nothing else. Then Mr. Hill asks Mr. Kanaji, in one last discussion you stressed the importance of the proper choice of words. Will you tell me now, sir, where the proper use of words fits into this business of effective speech? Then Kanaji says, words will not produce effective speech unless they are grouped so as to convey ideas through illustrations and similes that are well within the experience of all. Remember this because it is of the utmost importance to all who aspire to become effective speakers. I have heard some well-educated men make speeches which were masterpieces of English, but they failed to influence anyone because they were not properly attuned to the minds of the listeners through the right sort of illustrations. People wish to hear about subjects that help to solve their daily problems, subjects that aid them in their struggle for the necessities and the luxuries of life. People will listen to the discussions of other subjects, but they will be more greatly influenced when discussions are made interesting by dramatization and illustration. All people resent the use of words which they do not understand, no matter how correctly they may be used. Remember, then, that the effective speaker must not only use illustrations within the range of his listeners, but he must describe them in words which anyone of ordinary educational advantage may understand. Then Mr. Hill asks, Mr. Kanaji, what about gestures? I've listened to some speakers who wildly beat the air and pounded the lectern in driving home their points. What is your opinion in this matter, sir? Then Kennedy says, gestures can do only one of two things to a speech, either add to or distract from. It's effective if they do not add, they distract. Gestures should therefore be harmonized appropriately with the content of the speech. One should avoid distracting personal gestures such as running the fingers through the hair, showing the hands down in the pocket, and fumbling with watch chains or rattling coins. Also, one should avoid slouchy posture of the body. Such mannerisms may imply familiarity and take the mind of the listeners off the speech. It seems to me, Mr. Kanaji, that a good many of the traits of pleasing personality may be incorporated right into effective speech. I'm thinking, for instance, of tone of voice. Guy, this is what I've been teaching my pupils actually. I've brought them about effective speech, uh, nonverbal cues like the facial expressions, like the gestures, and then now we have the tone of voice that Mr. Hill is bringing in. So Kanaji says the tone of the voice is important. It should therefore be controlled. High harsh tones always offend the listener. The low rich tones are much preferable. A voice that is off tone is as offensive as a musical instrument that is out of tune, and for the same reason it destroys the harmony of the tone. Here again, remember that one should begin training the tone of the voice in ordinary conversations. A well-disciplined voice can convey feeling not by the mere meaning of words alone, but by the tone of the voice, which produces either laughter or tears. The effective speaker must learn to distinguish between words that are spoken without feeling and those which depend almost, if not entirely, upon feeling for their influence on the listener. The tone of the voice is the instrument by which feeling is conveyed. Hill asks, you'll agree with me, Mr. Kanaji, that another one of the traits of personality which obviously enters into effective speech is facial expression. Then Kanaji says, the effective speaker must remember to make the expression of his face fit the feeling he wishes to convey. Both the smile and the frown have their appropriate places in speech, but it is important that each should be used only at the right places. The governing rule is that the expression of the face should harmonize with the nature of the thought to be conveyed by speech. Then Hill asks Mr. Carnegie what ingredient of a speech transmits the all-important feeling or mood of the speaker to the members of his audience and inspire them to react in the way the speaker desires them to respond. Carnegie says, enthusiasm is the essential element of effective speech, which gives words the necessary feeling to enable a speaker to project his thoughts into the mind of a listener. It's difficult for anyone to close his mind against the enthusiastic speaker or to keep his mind from being penetrated by the thoughts of one who speaks with the fire of enthusiasm back of every word. Enthusiasm is very contagious. It is a form of feeling that gives power to words as nothing else will. And then Hill asks, if that's the case, Mr. Kanaji, please tell us how one generates his magic power of enthusiasm. Kanaji replies, the starting point in the development of enthusiasm is sincerity of purpose and a complete belief of the speaker in the thought he is endeavoring to convey to others. Any attempt to feign enthusiasm where it is not actually felt by the speaker will be more than apt to be recognized and presented by the listeners. Here again, the tone of the voice speaks so loudly that mere words get in the way and serve only to expose the insincerity of the speaker who does not actually believe in what he is saying. Then Hill asks, could you tell us, Mr. Kanaji, what is considered to be the most effective speech of all time? Kanaji says, the speech which has been delivered more than any other is one of the shortest, one of the most dramatic, one of the most romantic, and sometimes one of the most tragic of all human speeches. It consists of only three words: I love you. Yet I have heard it said that the three short words are only incidental to the conveyance of the thought back of them. The thing that counts most, so experts on the subject tell me, is the tone of the voice, the look in the eyes, and the feeling of enthusiasm the speaker sometimes puts back of his speech. When you can explain how One clothes that speech with necessary feeling to make it effective will also know a great deal about how one dramatizes any speech with depth of feeling and enthusiasm. It all goes back to sincerity of purpose and desire. We have no trouble in giving feelings to speech when we believe what we are saying. Moreover, if we believe what we say and give our words the right amount of feeling, the world is apt to recognize us as having attractive personalities. Hill asks, and what is the 19th trait of a pleasing personality, Mr. Carnegie? Carnegie says it's versatility. It's hardly necessary to mention the obvious fact that people who lack a general understanding of the world in which they live, including at least a surface knowledge of human nature, are seldom interesting or attractive. A general interest in things and people is one of the essentials of flexibility of personality, without which one is seldom attractive except to a very small percentage of those with whom one associates. With books and educational advantages as plentiful as they are in our country, there is little excuse for any person neglecting to inform himself on a great variety of subjects. Every man should have at least a surface acquaintanceship with the vital topics of the day, especially those which are associated with the political and economic fortunes of his own country. A man should have at least a shade more than a surface knowledge of himself, for it is true that the man who understands himself knows a great deal about other people, and he is therefore qualified to make himself attractive to them. The man who really knows himself has little difficulty in knowing others, because he is so much like the others. Yeah. And then he'll ask, according to my account, Mr. Carnegie, you are now about to discuss the 20th trait of a pleasing personality, which uh, which is, Carnegie says, a genuine fondness for people. Everyone who understands dogs knows that a dog instantly recognizes people who do or do not like dogs. Moreover, dogs express their recognition in no uncertain terms. People also recognize with the slightest association individuals who like people, and they resent those who have a natural dislike for others, just as definitely as they are attracted to the person who likes people. The law of retribution always operates so that people are judged and dealt with not alone by their deeds, but by their dominating mental attitude, through which they express their likes and their dislikes with unerring definiteness. It is inevitable, therefore, that the person who dislikes people will be disliked, although he may never openly express his feelings. Through telepathy, every mind communicates with other minds. Therefore, the person who wishes to have an attractive personality is under the constant necessity of watching not only his deeds but also his thoughts. Hill says, what you have just said, Mr. Kanaji, seems to be closely related to what we commonly call a man's temper. Do you wish to explain your idea of temper? Kanaji says, I wouldn't expect very much in the way of achievement of a man who has no temper, because the thing we call temper is nothing but uncontrolled emotion, and emotion under control is one of the most essential of all the powers of the mind. Perhaps the greatest injury an uncontrolled temper does is that which results from an uncontrolled tongue. The person with an uncontrolled temper generally has a tongue that is mounted on ball bearings in the middle, so to speak, and swings loosely at both ends with an edge as sharp as a razor blade, and with no regard for whom it cuts. We have all known of such tanks, but we have never been greatly attracted to the owner of any of them. Most people talk too much and say too little under the most favorable circumstances. But the man with a bad temper and a ball-bearing tongue often talks when he does not intend to do so and says things that he lives to regret. Such a person obviously does not have an attractive personality. Hill asks, what have you to say about those who express defeatism and accept failure as their lot in life? Carnegie said, nobody cares very much for the person who has abandoned the hope of personal achievement or lacks the ambition to achieve some worthy objective in life. The world will forgive a man for most of his mistakes if he has high aims and definite hopes for their attainment, but it will not forgive him for failure due to indifference or hopelessness. Hill says, Mr. Carnegie, is it possible for a man to allow his personal habits to control him through lack of self-discipline and still remain attractive to other people? Thank you, Belgium. Excess in the habits of eating, drinking, or sexual relationship destroys personal magnetism and makes the offender an object of derision among all who know him. I shall not preach on morals, but simply say that the man who hasn't enough pride in himself to control these intimately personal habits will more than likely be a failure in everything he undertakes. For these habits generally have associated with them other objectionable habits which make the development and maintenance of an attractive personality impossible. Hill asks, one of the most common causes of an unattractive personality, I should say, Mr. Carnegie, is the tendency to be grouchy, irritable, nervous, and impatient. Do you care to express yourself on this subject, sir? Carnegie says, impatience is nothing but a visible expression of selfishness or lack of self-discipline. Consequently, it never inspires sympathy from anyone. It's a negative mental attitude that is caused usually by intemperate habits in connection with eating, drinking, and sex, which I mentioned before, or is due to poor health brought about by these forms of intemperance. Toxic poisoning due to improper eating habits is one of the major causes of impatience and irritability. A doctor once told me that if people would keep their sewer systems as clean as they keep the outside of their bodies, there will be fewer of them calling for a physician. What trait or personality is next on the list, Mr. Carnegie? Carnegie says it's humility of the heart. Arrogance, greed, vanity, and egotism are never found in the man who has a pleasing personality. But isn't humility usually, and then he'll ask, but isn't humility usually associated somewhat with timidity? Carnegie says, not in the sense in which I am using the term. It means a humble spirit based on the recognition that even the greatest of men are by comparison with the scheme and plan of life generally but fragments of the whole. Humility of the heart is the result of a true understanding of man's relationship to his creator, plus recognition that the material blessings of life are a gift of the creator for the common good of all mankind. The man who is on good terms with his own conscience and in harmony with his creator always is humble of heart, and he generally has an attractive personality. Then he asks, I believe we are down to the 22nd trait, which comprises an attractive personality. Mr. Carnegie, will you name and discuss it, please? Carnegie says, I call it good showmanship. Showmanship is as one of the traits of attractive personality. is a combination of several of the other traits, proper blended and used. It's the ability to combine facial expression, tone of voice, appropriate personal adornment, choice of words, control of the emotions, courtesy, effective speech, versatility, mental attitude, sense of humor, emphasis, and tactfulness in such a manner as to dramatize any circumstance or occasion so as to attract favorable attention. As the term showmanship is used here, it has no reference to the common habit of wisecracking, clowning or gossiping, which is used too often as a means of attracting attention. And the next trait of an attractive personality is somewhat related to this one. It's called clean sportsmanship. The man who can win without boasting and lose without quelling generally has the admiration of other people. The colleagues advocate the colleges advocate clean sportsmanship in athletics because educators know that this habit becomes a part of one's character, and as such becomes of great benefit in human relationship outside of athletics. Clean sportsmanship is an important trait of attractive personality because it inspires people to cooperate in a friendly manner. Then Kanaji says, speaking of a friendly manner, Mr. Kanaji, I have always felt that a man with a good personality reveals it when you first meet him, by the way in which he shakes hands. Kanaji says, the ability to shake hands properly has a great deal to do with this subject of an attractive personality. The person who understands how to shake hands effectively can convey very definite impressions of many different types by this means. The man who is skilled in the art of handshaking has a big advantage over the man who lacks this studied accomplishment. Then Mr. Hill says, well, Mr. Kanaji, we have come down to the last of the traits of a pleasing personality. And what is it, sir? Kanaji says, it is personal magnetism. Let us be frank at the outset and say that personal magnetism is a polite way of describing sex energy, for that is precisely what it means. Now we need not evade the admission that sex energy is something which an individual is born and it therefore cannot be developed by personal effort. Sex energy is nature's own device with which she creates and perpetuates every living thing, from God's smallest creature to his greatest handwork man. I see no reason, therefore, for uh, subter- subterfuge in connection with the analysis of sex emotion as one of the most important traits of personality, but I do see a reason for making it plain that this universal power adds attractive qualities to the personality only when it is controlled and used properly. Caution hired. Enfield asks, what is the method of control you refer to? Kanaji says, I have reference to transmutation, which means the diversion of sex emotion from physical sex expression into whatever constructive purpose one wishes to carry out. It is a well-known fact that when a man who is highly sexed organizes this irresistible creative force and places it back of his occupational endeavors, he has but little difficulty in persuading people to cooperate with him. The emotion of sex must be considered as one of the most important factors of an attractive personality. Therefore, I have given here a clue from which anyone smart enough to recognize it may add greatly to his ability to influence people through his personality. Yes, that is all about developing an attractive personality. Reading is work. I'm tired. My throat is tired. Yeah, so I hope you picked a thing or two. If this has been boring, my apologies. Shall try to make it exciting some other time. My throat, my throat. I need water. So yeah, I like this book so much. It has helped me, especially in changing my mindset and just organizing my life, you know. Yeah, so it just tells you that having a mentor is a beautiful thing. This was brought to me by my mentor all the way from the US. Yeah, and it was worth all the long hours on the plane to me. His name is Sylvester. He's an awesome person that God brought my way. Yeah, and he's been mentoring me for a while. And one of these fine days, I'll make him even more proud. I hope I haven't been so boring reading it, right? So I hope you have picked a thing or two. And yeah, so I'm about to end this live broadcast. Thank you for joining me in my first live broadcast. Gosh, going live is not easy. I know as a media person, as somebody who is in the media space, this should be easy for me, but it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy going live. Recording is different, but going live is not. So yeah, I am hoping that I'll get used to it. I'm slowly by slowly getting used to it, and hoping. Kasiti, you want me to continue reading? Yeah, I'm hoping to bring guests going forward to shed light on mental health. I'll be inviting people, maybe mental health victims or mental health specialists, or even artists, or even my fellow journalists to talk about the issues they have faced. Like for me in my field, we tell people stories, but we rarely tell our stories. And journalists go through a lot. So I'm looking forward to inviting quite a number of them on this channel to speak to us about, people normally speak about their milestones, or they speak mostly about the good thing, but they rarely speak about their struggles. So I'm looking forward to inviting even my fellow journalists, especially the young ones from the grassroots. Those ones are the ones who face the most challenges. Some of them don't even earn enough. Whatever they earn cannot even sustain them. There's a time I don't want to say where I was, because when I say it, people will know what the place I'm talking about. But there's a time I was working somewhere in this field, and people could see you and they think, wow, you're earning so much money, yet you're being paid as a casual. Like, it was not easy. It was not easy at all. You were supposed to pay rent. Na si kitambo, ni juzi tu, by the way. You're supposed to pay rent. Whatever you're being paid cannot even pay that rent. You're supposed to be going to work, like, okay, we're not going to work like the whole week. People had days assigned to them, but still you cannot afford your transport. Um, you cannot even afford food in your house. Yeah, and it was just so challenging, so challenging. But I went after the struggles. I went into a program called YALI, Young African Leadership Initiative, which really shaped me to whom I am today. You know, how to turn your challenges into opportunities. So my mindset really changed. Let me tell you, it really changed. My view on things really changed. I'm one kind of person who is always looking for positivity, even in the worst of situations. Even in the worst of situations, I always look for positivity, and that keeps me going. Even when you're feeling, when you're on your knees, the one thing I tell God, I will never curse you. Truth Matete had a live session the other day on Facebook, and she was speaking about the challenges she went through, and she had titled her live session, uh, "Don't Waste Your Pain." Don't waste your pain. So she was telling us, yes, she lost her husband, and when she got to hospital and she was told that your husband is dead, she knelt down and amidst tears told God, God, even if you slay me, I will praise you. Even if you slay me, I will praise you. And she was preaching. Right now she calls herself Pastor Ruth Matete. And she says she decided she would not waste her pain. She will use her pain to become somebody better. She will use her pain to preach the word of God and reach out to those who are in pain, those who are almost giving up, those who think that God has abandoned them. She will use her pain to reach out to such people. So that sermon was very powerful. It was so powerful, and she spoke about why God allows some things to happen to us, why God allows us to experience pain. She said number one is because God wants us to rely on Him and Him alone. He wants to teach us to depend on Him and Him alone. And also He wants to be glorified through us. So when you're down and you're asking, where is this God? Where is this God? He's there. He's there. He wants you to seek Him more. He wants you to run to Him, to depend on Him. He wants you to reach out to that inner power inside of you and really fight, really fight to reach that point where you're going. He wants us to, for some sort to be shown of us so that when we are now picked from the mud and we are raised, He is glorified through us. People will say, wow, so this God exists, because maybe the situation was you were in was a situation that maybe people were thinking that you'll never get out of it. Sorry. Maybe people thought that was your end. But God is preparing a testimony through that situation. He is preparing something great for you, you know. Ruth lost her husband. She says up to now she can't even say the word, my husband died. She says, I lost my husband. My husband went to be with the Lord. But she has not come to terms with the fact that her husband died. When she opens her mouth to say, my husband died, she breaks down. But even in those challenges, she says she will always praise God. She will always praise God. Yeah, so Sometimes life is hard, you know. Sometimes you don't know whether to go forth or just move back. Sometimes you don't know whether to just let it go or to just, you know, abandon everything and start other things. But God always has a purpose for everything. That is something I've come to learn in this life. With all the challenges I went through in those workplaces, I came to discover something beautiful. I'm a better leader right now, you know. I'm somebody who will not want my employees to to bring me results at the expense of their mental health. I would want my employees to be at a good place mentally so that they can grow themselves as they help me maybe grow my organization or grow my department, but it cannot be at the expense of somebody's mental health. Somebody cannot be struggling from their homes and then you expect them to give you results in your organization. Someone cannot maybe be going to bed hungry or even angry or walking to work and expect them to give you results. So as an employer or as a leader, someone has to have empathy. Ensure that all the things that will make your employees not perform are taken care of. Just ensure that they don't lack transport. Ensure that they are able to pay their rent. It's not good using people's kids, you know, it's not good. These things always come back to people. You know, like I have seen organizations remain at the same place they were like how many years ago? Like over 10, they're still in the startup stages because they don't have empathy. They don't care about other people. They don't care whether people are happy or not. They don't care. What they care about is the results. Yes, it's good to be purposeful about what you want in your life, but also remember if you want to achieve that purpose, you gotta have to bring people along in a smart way, you know, in a way that even at that point when you're not able to pay them, they will stand with you and say, we know this is just a small thing, this is just a small challenge, and he will pay us, you know. Just make them share in your vision in a good way. Don't use people, you know, it's never good. And I am always so disappointed when I meet young people in organization who are openly being used, but they are afraid to speak up because they believe that if they speak up, they will be fired. Maybe your boss is just waiting for you to speak up. Maybe they're just waiting for you to say. Even the Bible says, ask and you will be answered. Knock and the door shall be opened to you. Seek and you shall find. The same way God wants us to tell him, God, this is what I want. Please open this door for me. And if it's your time, that door will be opened. But if he says wait, you have to wait. So the same way, go to your boss and tell your boss, hey, now I can see that I'm doing so much, but I'm almost giving up because the much I'm earning is not even enough to cater for my bills. If you are a diligent employee, if you're somebody who takes that, if who goes the extra mile, you know, who takes initiative in the organization, you know, like in this book, there's in this raising your salary book, there's a place where the going the extra mile. It talks about somebody who raises their salary by doing more than what is expected of them. I've always been that kind of employee. employer, employee. I'm confusing like Marina. I've always been that kind of employee who will just go the extra mile to ensure that everything in the organization is done. Even if it's not my responsibility, I will help that other person to achieve that because I know if we achieve it together, we shall all benefit from it. And this has earned me positions in organization, and sometimes here your jealousy is elicited and you're thrown out. But going the extra mile is so beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Sorry for that. I was checking something here. Someone had just said something to me. Yeah, so that is one beautiful thing I have learned with time. Going the extra mile, doing even what you doing extra, If you're a writer, write more. Go to the extent of editing, Learn new skills. Learn new skills. Open yourself, just be open to learning. That is one beautiful thing that is what has pushed me to positions in many organizations. Like just learning that new thing, and if I have a skill, I will not sit on it. I will ensure that I use it, because keeping it to myself is not helping me in any way. That if I use it and allow people to benefit from it, I'm achieving my purpose on earth. I came to realize that my purpose on earth is helping people realize what they are worth, you know, helping people realize what they are worth. And on many instances, God has brought me my God, people who are so frustrated, and I do this through writing, especially on my social media. I write, I use me as an example. I try to make my writing as educational as possible. I want when somebody reads my article or watches my video, they will leave that place feeling inspired, feeling encouraged, having learned something new. I just don't want to create content that people come to and maybe they have seen I have done something in my life, but they have not learned anything from it or they have not been inspired. So my work, both in video form, in audio form, in writing form, has always been to open people's minds or to inspire them, to educate them, to make them realize that so this is not happening to me alone. It can also happen to me, Carl. Yeah, and on my Facebook, the feedback has been amazing. And there's a lady who even started a business in this quarantine period. And the time I used to write about my workplace experiences. People used to think that I'm lamenting, but I feel you can reach to people's heart easily when you tell a story from a personal point of view, something they can relate to. Don't tell them somebody else's story. That other person can tell that their story better. So tell your own story, but don't make it warrior. Tell it after you have maybe conquered, and give it an approach on how to create Sorry for that. We lost power and Wi-Fi is not here, so I disappeared for some minutes. So with whatever, like my fellow content creators, with whatever content you're creating, let it have a purpose. Is it educating? Is it inspiring? Is it calling to action? You know, what kind of impacts are you leaving behind? What kind of purpose are you serving? All of us have a purpose, and maybe why you created your YouTube channel is because there's a purpose you want to serve. Maybe people want to come to you to get hope, to get inspiration, to laugh, you know, to let go their worries. When they just see, Kasiti is live, they're inspired, you know, they are so much inspired. And I'm so much inspired by Kasiti's journey. Like when I see her videos, few years, I don't know how many years they were. She was plus size and now she's this shapely girl. That is something so inspiring for somebody who's trying to lose weight. So all of us have a purpose with our channels, and I hope we shall achieve that purpose. Let's just focus on our goal. Let us not get discouraged by any discouragements that might come our way. Let us just remain focused on our goal and we shall definitely make it. So I think I have said so much. Yeah, and this is the point I say thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for keeping me company up to this point. It has been 1 hour 39 minutes that you have been here with me listening to my sweet nothings. I don't know whether that's sweet nothings or they have impacted to you, but I'm so hoping you have been impacted in one way or another, and you're going to develop pleasing personality. You know, a pleasing personality is everything. Once you achieve that, you make yourself valuable. So yeah, that is it for today. I'm hoping to be going live most often, but the next time I go live, I think I will have a guest. Thank you so much. See you. Bye.